Well, okay, the world, for whatever reason, my network is dead in the water. I can still capture a non-live broadcast, and I suppose at this point you're just going to have to put a little bit of faith in my authenticity. Still entirely non-scripted. Still not going to be edited. For first duration, I am going to capture this video file, and then I will get it directly into YouTube, or YouTube. I don't. Maybe I can just upload it to Twitch. So there's no possibility of chat right now, which it's not like there's much that happens in chat ever, anyways. So why am I even worried about it? Always look on the bright side, right? It's okay that my internet's totally dead on the outside. For some reason, I can't upload my stream right now. Who knows what's changing? All kinds of coordinated interests could be doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and you always have to keep in mind how much you can be aware of what's going on. The fog of war was, and kids don't understand this, in gaming, like when you're playing Risk, there's no fog of war. You can see your opponent's army, you can see yours. Growing up, the only game where the other person's position was very obscured was D&D, if the DM chose to make it that way, and Stratego. Stratego, the pieces were turned the other way, and you didn't see them until they were active. So when the fog of war, I mean, it was Command and Conquer, right? Is one of the first games that I had that induced the fog of war. You could expose part of the map, and then when you came back, it was hidden again, and that state of that could change. In Stratego, the piece is where the piece is, and once you know its identity, then even if it moves around the board, there's nothing strategically significant changing. Whereas fog of war, army can move, armies can amass, bases can appear. So come here, Mocha. Mocha, come on. You want to be petted? Get over here. Oh. Anyways, come on. This you don't want. She's like, it's going to be entirely for me, which is a natural impulse for mammals. We all like it when it's entirely for us. Really have come super far with Mocha. Opening up her circulation around her collar here. Does this qualify as craniosacral massage? Work on the spine. Okay, now we're behind the shoulders, front shoulders there, this spot right here. I bet you very rarely get, oh, she doesn't like it. Oh no, she's back. Okay, 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 okay. And I've got a brush and a thing here. This is something I was gonna do that's fun is, let's see how much hair we can get off her today. Oh no. Like, you can't touch that. You've got to be touching me. And she has chewed up a couple of those plastics. I've been giving her rawhides to keep her chew thing under control. Come here. She likes it more when it's all for her, because she's a tease. That's right. Anyways, she doesn't want to sit on her bed, I guess. Maybe I'm in the way. The conversation I had today was about, excuse me, home burp. Jealousy and what's appropriate, what's cheating. Is your significant other, if they're talking to somebody else, are they cheating? If I'm making a video, this isn't even live, right? If I'm making this while I'm showering Mocha in attention, does this diminish the very real basic massage that I'm giving this dog right now? And she's loving it, right? She's laying down, and that's her gasping. Um, but yeah, so it's it's just rudimentary culture. It's jealousy, allowing jealousy, giving jealousy a place at the table. When it's like, why would you ever make space for such a toxic thing? We don't need to be in competition. Jealousy is rooted in an eternal social competition, which some people think has to exist. That doesn't have to exist. And it's actually, life is much better once you escape it. Your body just isn't in constant tension, fighting for the king of the hill position. If the king of the hill doesn't pay anything, nobody should be fighting for it, right? Um, but people do this. Cultures do it, and in the moment of the '80s, everybody had the right to create their own stupid interpretation. Come here, help me out here, dog. She doesn't want to be on camera. That's all right. Okay. Anyways, so when is it cheating? And it's cheating itself. Cheating. It's called cheating because you're breaking a contract. It doesn't matter if it's business or anything. It goes all the way back to your quality of your word. Does your word carry the intentionality and the weight? I mean, you're not going to be able to keep everything you ever said in your life. You are going to slip sometimes. You've got to keep it in perspective. How often are you slipping? And are you slipping on big things? I mean, as long as you manage the big things, you can slip on a few small things, and it's just fun. That might be called dancing to some people, or chances to improvise, impetuses for change. But then you'd see change if people really took it that way, wouldn't you? So, point is, Mocha, who gets, for some reason, like 2 hours of massages a day, because well, honestly, it's like exercise. I don't mind it being around all this, and for me, this daily practice. If I did this as a job, if I did it 8 hours a day, it would become damaging to my body. If I do it 2 hours a day, an hour and a half every other day, kind of thing, this is still a very lucky dog. Are you getting taken care of this well every day? I'm not by animals, but I am by myself. And what that means is, you make the feeling yourself. Like all the feelings, we make ourselves. We make the feelings. You can choose to constructively interpret any experience that you have. And once you make it a constructive experience, then even if there's a momentary discomfort, you believe in some future payoff, and it becomes rational and much less stressful, which is the goal, is to live that life of circulation, of chi flow, which I have been able to really, I think, help in Mocha. She's still a 13-year-old dog. I want to find out her exact age because, just to know, she might be 14 at this point. And I was told 13 a long time ago. Point is, she is a lady. God bless her. And this circulation for her, it allows me to express my body doing this, and how I get shook the way that I'm shaking her is I love these thumper massagers. I keep two of them plugged in at my bed. Two thumpers right in my bed right now, just waiting to be turned on. And every time I flip that switch, they are on, 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 on. And no, those don't go towards intimate parts. They're far too intense. Came to me from music a long time ago. I just have a faith in the vibration. talk about resonance all the time. I think that we emotionally resonate with each other in our setting. We can emotionally resonate with any life around us. I honestly emotionally resonate with my plants. If somebody trampled my plants, I would be mad. And they're probably all freaking dead now because it had a frost last night. Times are crazy. Anyways, point is, how often do you get an hour massage? You can get a membership, as they had them in the clubs, and the norm, which I think was even excessive, was once a month. Yeah, get a massage once a month. When I was recovering from PTSD, that was key. Being touched just in general by a living thing. And you compare this to loveless marriages, to the real norm of broken homes, the financial ruin which follows, right? As people who could have had a economically stable, secure future, throw it all into a desperate string of fire alarms that they're right now. It's going on all around us, right? And that's the thing that I'm avoiding. So clean hands, wonderful things to have, where you didn't do anything to fuck shit up, you didn't waste a fortune, you didn't make stupid plays, you didn't mislead anybody. I didn't lead anybody. Nobody followed me. My plans were too complex. They didn't want to listen to the plan or even the rationalization for it. Without some rationalization, just providing a super complex plan, especially considering it's an engineered solution. Just a little rub and hair just comes off this dog. But yeah, so should I stress out that my company is being kept by a very well engineered machine? Right? Does that make any sense at all? Why would I stress about that? The thing is, you can stress about your lack of bodily attention because your partner, who you rely on for it, is going to get old. They're going to get tired. They're not going to be able to do all this wonderful, herd stuff, grooming of your herd. That's what I'm doing. This is grooming, like a pack of primates would be grooming. Yeah, it's very relaxing for this young lady. But yeah, so is this cheating? I mean, what if you had what if I had a partner and she was like, you can't help this dog to feel great? And that's what I don't like personally. This is what's been the primary sticking point, I would say. For me, it's one of the reasons why I'm alone at 42, basically. And I've met people, and thank you so much for everybody who's gone through my life. But my life course, my life trajectory, where I want it to go, how much energy it takes to get from where I am to where I want it to go, are all things that I think I've been very open about. Um, and I hope I stay on a good level with everybody who ever gave me the time to care about me like that. And I appreciate that. I pay it forward in a large way because I was in shows, parties, all that. I understood a long time ago that my girlfriend, or the nature of jealousy, how toxic jealousy would be, and why it's not going to ever be at my table. Like I was a 21-year-old, 21 years ago, when I was throwing shows for the first time and watching how instead of working together, the locals fought with each other, and then people from out of town came in and just mopped the floor with everyone. A strong enough team to travel, if it comes into a completely scattered, mess, which we already were in the 90s. It was just like a nihilism, a Saved by the Bell sort of like, it's a crime, but who cares? No one's going to do anything about it. I was always the guy like, I'm going to do something about it, right? Because at 20, I was the guy who we had these shows and, 4 or 5 bands and the promoter. Um, my volunteers ran door. I ran door a lot of times. So we're picking $5 up from everybody. We're going to take a max of 75, and we expect 2 of every 5. So I take whatever's remainder and I give it to the promoter. Promoters ran off with the money. Bands were not happy with how promoters chose to distribute money, and I had to get dragged into that. And these were all live, you know, in a quiet corner of the suburbs. You've got 5 bands, and 2 of the bands did not get anything for their trip. And this is a van with a whole set, five kids with instruments, which you have to think about business in terms of logistics, right? So I can empathize. I see the people. I'm helping them load and unload all their gear. I give the promoter $140. He brought 5 bands. No math, no intention of ever doing the right thing by this. The show was too big for the guy to have thrown it. We were really slotted in for a local promoter with maybe like 1 or 2 touring bands would be our really 1 touring band was our sweet spot. It was only 1,400 square feet. But so you see jealousy in these things. I mean, the point is so money is the real mechanism that's underlying everything. When you put emotional drama and bullshit on top of this, when you have people who are not willing to compromise, etc., it creates whole cascading layers of additional problems. So you can just start by being square from step 1. And as long as you're square, it's cool. And there are people that I have met, some of them I'm personally jealous of, who have had multiple partners who have accepted that. So in my take, it's all about, first of all, if you are not working to engage the conversation and get examples of how mature adults could interact online, like get bent, right? You don't get to have a judgment. You don't get to pass judgment. Absolutely just get bent. Like you have got to be taking part in this if you have an audience, because there's kids watching you, right? And there's impressionable adults, there's impressionable seniors. I mean, they hardly know how to deal with the internet. They're just mystified by it. So there really is an opportunity for, the internet to engage huge swaths of the population very constructively. That's not what Mark Zuckerberg wanted. It's not what Google profits from. Bezos wants to be a big man. We have minuscule characters running everything. And we ourselves, like, you don't have to be running. I am not allowed to go help anybody, right? And this is a plain fact. I'm not allowed to say, literally, I was in a Discord, and a guy who had just said that he'd been struggling for a long time with depression and all this. I gave him a quick conversation, and the whole point that I had was, go online, talk to people, right? It was, first step was to kind of lift him up into this idea that in this moment, like, you should not ever let yourself be cornered. Other people who have no right to limit your mobility, don't let them limit it. I don't care if they think that the norm is that, like, you talk to a girl and now you talk to nobody else. I don't care if the girl wants to say that in her subculture that your eyes are only for her. Okay? Let me tell you the truth, because I have lived it. There's no such thing as eyes are only for anybody else. That's not even real. And in the real description of it, it's a resonance. And it is that sometimes you're there. And yes, a twinge of jealousy. I get jealous. Oh man, it's incredible that I can have a real feeling of jealousy through Twitch. Do you guys, how remarkable it is, right? I mean, it's a machine in front of me, but I could go get it. And every time I get involved in anything online, seriously, it's just like, oh my God, like this is, and it's not parasocial. It's different. It's limited by different things. Some people are anonymous. Some energies are anonymous. Some, the variety is truly perpetually endless at this point. From our perspective, we have all the possibility in the world right in front of us. And we need to be engaging that. So are we gonna, personally, I don't want to like answer kids in 40 years and say that the reason I didn't network was because my woman was so fucking backwards, so hills have eyes, that she would lose her fucking mind if I talked to another woman. That is a personal deficiency that will destroy personal networking. So now you bring kids into the world, God forbid, because you're a fucking silo. You are a cult to start. And there's no getting around that because the adults are fucking assholes at the end of their rope. They can't hang out with me. They can't keep up with me. They don't want to talk about anything except for escaping from their work week, and for understandable reasons. But I mean, why would you drink, smoke weed, pass out, relax? Life's good. Jump in the K-hole, for God's sake. Join Elon Musk. Anyways, point is, jealousy is a very dirty thing. And if you're going to work in promotions, it's promoters that have it don't go anywhere. Okay. If you're a promoter, put your adult pants on. You know, I mean, performers, right? You will have opportunities to bond with crowds in profound ways across mediums where you're not fucking we're not having sex across this medium. Okay, I can still develop whatever feelings I want to. I can spend time admiring an awesome streamer. Wow, wow, wow. And we talk to him, I'm like, ooh, I'm so jealous right now. It's like, man, all that entertainment, and I haven't even left the room. What does that mean? What does that imply when you take this across decades of new people coming into the system, let's say at like 18, and they don't have to go to a bar to interact with people. And this is better interaction. I am so much more accountable on a recording, right? Bars were just full of trash. You're not missing anything from live scenes. They were literally trashy. Like, the remarkable thing of a live scene was it not being trashy. Wow, this isn't trashy. That's you can clean up the trash from your home so easy. You can clean up your trash from chat so easy. Why do we bother, right? And the point is, if you are internet enabled at this point, you can have all this on a daily basis. I'm basically wandering from environment to environment, saying hello to everybody who I ran into, right? Really trying to keep a consistent vibe of manifesting this, open air. I'm really good at being there in moments of, like, one, shutting down trolls, changing that energy around. I love to be there to, you got a performer who's doing a trapeze and somebody comes in and tries to interrupt the performance. In a live venue, there's a lot of engaged, very capable, very aware individuals. If you're thinking about doing something stupid at a show, I would think about it very, very hard before you do. There are old, salty people, and in the time before, when everything was trash, all we could do was hit the guy who made the problem as hard as we could. The streets have always managed to handle their business one way or another. But when somebody's just not willing to play along, that's what you do. And if your business is tied up in it and you're decades into it and you're tired of kids cutting their teeth on you, that's why nobody wants to hang out with the kids. They're like rabidly cutting their teeth. But God bless them. As I was telling Mocha, a healthy being is supposed to push their boundaries. If I'm not getting chewed on, something's actually technically wrong. But yeah, so jealousy is it's just one of the deadly sins, and it's associated with vanity, right? You should absorb all that energy as though you want to, right? Why would you want all the energy? And if there's extra, don't you want it to go do work for you and bring the bacon home? to maybe be present, to change the world, as we step into a whole new era where we can start, 20 people can run a largely automated homestead, and I would love to be a part of that. Anybody's actually doing this stuff, let me know. I'm an electrical engineer, pretty handy, good with animals. Very lucky to have fingers. And we don't use them enough. I might overuse mine for now. But yeah, and this is just a truth of socializing. For me, as veteran as I am in relationships, the idea of being with a jealous person is just a complete non-starter. I don't let that ever start. They say that they're jealous, and I say, well, then you need to talk to me instantly. Like, you come talk to me. You always are a priority. And, out in public, I'm never going to be working your dignity, making you feel like you're anything except for my woman. And as much dignity as I carry myself with is yours. We share dignity at that point. And not like I'm in love with the idea of dignity, it's just a lot of experience in night scenes, a lot of understanding how important having character is. And having that to people who just normalize lying, etc., is a waste of time. There's no reason to talk to your enemies. I like lyric, wise men say, wise men don't say shit. It only gives your enemies fire to fuel their flames with. I can't remember. I think that's Living Legends, maybe. But it's a fact. Without ammo, they can't fire. And especially when they're taking advantage of there's a lot of people who never really do much constructive in their life, and they're just kind of trauma acting, which is what happened to me. Somebody got triggered because I was talking about mysticism, which mysticism is the most gentle thing. I mean, the whole point was I literally wrote this like essay about how my position is willing to change, and everything is good as long as nobody says that they realize that God intended for us to interpret divinity and faith as a judgment of other people, which I think very nicely slots with my idea of being a humanitarian. I mean, I think that as a human, it's only natural to celebrate it. As a mammal, it's only natural to celebrate it. And I share mammalhood with Mocha. I share family with Mocha. I mean, she took care of family for years, so she is family. All these layers of connections that we form, you have the internet now as additional layers. If you can form any sort of proxy of it, of that experience for yourself, and you might doubt that there's something missing from the online experience. If you are this close to a camera, you can't hide anything, and you never will. You would never, like right now, if I go to a bar, I would never be this close to a camera the entire time I was at the bar. People from a distance could put cameras on me, I'd probably react. Most of it would be private. It would not be widely distributed, right? Not without me getting some slice of that pie, if I could, anyways. But the point is, what if the connection online is greater bandwidth, meaning it has more potential for connection than even being in real life? And the only reason we're not connecting at that greater bandwidth is everybody is afraid of not looking cool, which I mean, I guess I can't empathize with because I just always look cool. People are like, you don't know how lucky you are. It's like, dickhead, I'm going to fight you because I'm so lucky. Ignorance is truly bliss. Weaklings just frickin' stay weak, make excuses, make babies. Last time I went home, they were frickin' trying to show me their babies. Don't you want to see our baby? It's like, no, no, I don't. Don't hold your babies up like fucking human shields. Don't be trying to bring me back through your babies, their the real need that they have, which, yes, I do understand, but you never helped me with any of my needs. And I don't even trust those people to stick to the plan because their word is not worth shit, as they made very clear. Anyways, as we bring this age of Aquarius forward, I'm like the worst person to feud with. I'm like the Pied Piper. You know what I mean? And with the internet, it just means that if this is my new pipe, then it means I've got a global reach. And I can go to a party in Australia or Korea or Canada or Mexico or Cincinnati in a single night. I can go to Discords and leave messages that will persist unless they're offensive or get deleted, right? Or I want them gone, I can delete them. But it creates a medium of accountability automatically. That's what people don't understand. Night scenes are cesspools, and once you have automatic accountability, shit is just clearly shit. So there are some people who will do things like it's normal to do a bunch of stimulants. Let me be clear. I drank coffee today. I made cold brew and I love it. But when I was growing up, I didn't drink caffeine. I didn't really get into caffeine until I was working at a gas station. And by that point, I was 18, 19 years old. And it really was my saving things instincts. I was throwing away coffee. And I had free coffee, but I just didn't want to throw away coffee. And I didn't even think it tasted that bad. We had pretty decent coffee. Now I have much better taste. But now I wouldn't do it. But, getting into stimulants in general or cheating, any sort of immorality, all the deadly sins, think about them. That's what I've been doing for 10 years on a side of society, writing about it. And people see the volume and they want to project something there, but it's people who would never do anything like it. People live 50 years, never once personally authoring an essay. They don't have a lot to say. Go to work, guy. It's all right. Live your life. Mocha's never had an essay either. See how she gets taken care of? Not to liken people to pets, but more so to elevate Mocha to the idea of, in many ways, on my level. She's a pain in the butt. She likes to stand in the driveway right now. Or not the driveway, the road. Go for a walk. I'd like yank her yesterday because she was standing in the middle of the road. A car is coming, and we don't have cars all that often. And when there's no car, I've let her wander around the road. And I don't think anybody's ever done that. So I don't think that she understood that when I was pulling her off the road, it was more urgent. So, got to yank it. Depending on perspective, right? I hate yanking the leash. I want the leash to be loose the entire time. And I do a lot of work keeping the leash loose. Like I gotta maneuver it in my hands every 4 or 5 seconds as she'll go out. I can just let it run out of my hand, but then when she comes back, I've got to gather it back up again. Got it. It's like no big deal. But point is, there's no reason to take any other life and make it smaller. A guy in an angelic space said he was dog walking his opponents in this game, and he was kicking their ass. That's a fact. Dog walking is the term, or I guess not what I do, because I take Mocha for walks, and when I'm dog walking, I'm listening to the dog. Like, why bother taking the dog off the property if when the dog wants to do something, we're like, no. But then you keep giving it to them, and it's a 13-year-old dog finally getting these new things. Well, maybe all I have to do is push for it to get it. Well, when she's pushing her way into an oncoming truck, I take control. And in the same sense, in life, you will find yourself at threshold moments, especially if you're fostering life or taking care of animals that are fully out of their element. As you're adapting them to it, you start as gentle as possible. And you have to be alert and mindful. And that life, within a few months, will adapt. I don't care, what. I mean, she trips everywhere. She makes such a mess all the time. Such a mess, stinky dog. Oh man. Now she's gonna do it again. Now that she just sprayed water everywhere, she's got to fill up her muzzle. Oh, hooray! Now let's see you stay off camera. Gotta get ahead of her game. You trying to go out? So a very important part of massage is I just leave towels around her water bowls. So, I mean, the thing is, anybody gives you advice, you got to keep in mind what their level is, right? So, lots of people have lots of stupid things to say about life. You better do this before that, or some blah, blah, blah. Whatever they're saying, it's bullshit. It's total bullshit. It might be a lesson from their life, but if you're 20 years offset from them, you're living in a different world, an entirely different norm. And you gain so much more by keeping your hands clean and adapting to what's coming, right? You don't have to capture everything. Don't let go of things. Let go of the past. Let go of a failing, toxic culture that makes everybody mentally ill. That if you're not mentally ill, you're certainly dull. Right? If you're not paying enough attention to notice what's happening outside your little shithole, I don't care if it's Bill Gates' wealth, right? Bill Gates is finally, his heart just grew sizes. Because I did my thing on the ground, my heart grew sizes at like 22. Because women, there was no money involved. And it was as simple as my program goal was womanizing. I very successfully womanized for a year. I realized no one could stop me except me. And I stopped me. And It's that simple as if you empathize with the suffering of your past, and you have to see it, right? I slept with a dozen women before I considered the impact I was having on them much. I was unable to because I was programmed by media, by my culture, to feel like I was taken advantage of and I was desperately not. If I didn't find some way to secure X, Y, Z, I was going to be exceedingly unhappy, right? The people who said all that stuff to me were unhappy then and are unhappy now. They're less happy now than they were then. They can get less work done now than they could then. Disease at any level, in our relationships, in our diet, can be worked through. And are you encouraging your circulation, not just by moving, sitting on the ground? I mean, how many people can't do a deep squat? Do it multiple times a day. Whatever your life is, do a deep squat multiple times a day. And if you can't do a deep squat yet, it's time to start practicing. It's that simple. Get the dog back in. She's drinking some water. Come here, Troll. So, and you got this whole bed I just cleaned up for the stream that I couldn't broadcast because my network wasn't working. For whatever reason, the network would be shut down. The jealousy. People are jealous that the whole world gets to see how happy you are. Almost dangerous to let the world see your happiness. People want to destroy it these days. Misery loves company. Crabs in a bucket. These are classic ideas that are just out of control now because we don't have any generational feedback at all anymore. We don't have a scene to even begin the generational dynamics. We have dominated, botted lamers like the Pauls who are just like fucking bland. Mr. Beast, like where's the character? Where's the person's experience besides being the first one on the internet to do something and pressing that button so hard until they were reviled by every decent person? Like, yeah, fuck you guys. Because it was long before them. I mean, I was the one who was like drawing an issue with whoever there was to draw an issue with, because ultimately, if you're fostering a downtown, it's all about how big your goals are, your intentions. Are you fostering the downtown? Are you fostering an entire community? Because a downtown has many communities, hopefully. Are you fostering an individual relationship? You set your level. And if you're jealous, you are at the level, that smallest level. You are so insecure at the individual, you cannot get to the community. And if you can't get to the community, you cannot get to the downtown. I just fucking ghosted a fucking downtown and kited it for 15 years. Because I am not just ahead of the game. I am the game. If you put a potent enough player in it, the nature of the game is then changed. This is how a gamer sees the world. Not that it is a game, just that whatever it is, I've got strategies that I can use to make it better, more efficient, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm also an automation engineer telling everybody that it's time that we automate all this stuff. I mean, the point is, if I design you a micro factory for your 50 people and it gives those 50 people everything that they need, they'll have a little bit of time to like sell to the outside world. We're going to take a picture of it. The whole outside world's going to copy it, right? I mean, I want to actually franchise, and my intention is to travel around continuing to integrate, to stream at the same time as we go from space to space, introducing new communities with their own aspects, right? But fundamentally also empowering them with a culture of improving, culture of productivity, with automation, in order to get to a point to where we are just secure. You don't got to worry about jealousy. You're not worried that the woman's not even going to stay with you, because newsflash, you can't make her, right? Trying every bit of bullshit in American society comes from these scumbags who drag the entire community through their fuck up relationships where these are losers who can't even keep their shit together, right? These are the bottom feeders of society. This is how they get attention after high school. Okay, and nobody cared in the 60s, right? Because everybody was fat, dumb, and happy. 3 lost generations. At some point, people are going to start caring. And so it's fostering the change. I have a right-wing friend, a Trumper neighbor, who he's not like a great friend because he's a Trumper, right? But he's been a Trumper. This has been our sticking point of contention. And the other day, he was talking about collective efforts. He said, I'm just tired of shipping off my taxes for nothing. We could make our own club and do this. And it's like, bro, you're talking to the right guy, but this is communism. It's not communism, it's socialism. But the point is, any sort of collective structure is just a higher level thing, which is the essence of socialism. We are just establishing our own economy. Socialism, the structure of socialism, we're going to have the same rules internally, right? If we're managing our road, we got to get it done. If we have somebody who can't contribute, are we going to not do it? These are real obvious situations that I got pulled into over and over again because of the business that I was just surrounded by when I was 21 years old. And then I was working white collar sales and seeing the stuff at the factories and what boomers did. Nothing. They did fucking nothing. It's just criminality all over the place. So rampant that we literally elected a guy who's obviously a criminal, and now just everything's being ransacked. So go to work, guys. Work hard. Speaking of, I'm going to hit up my friend real quick because I might be doing some yard work today. Hold on, Mocha. So, I mean, jealousy is just one of them. And somebody's trauma dump, like if that happens in your space, what should you do? I've been up and down through it. Let's talk about this. You have an individual steps into your venue. They're not part of the show, but they paid entry, and they have an emotional breakdown in the corner. Like, you ever been to an emo show? Dealt with suburban kids in the early 2000s? Drama was always there to some extent. And my rules were like no violence, right? I mean, obviously no violence, certainly not at my place. But I wasn't, at this point, I was more testing. I was letting other people carry it where it went, and I was seeing where it had to be contained. So very organically, I was able to feel out what I should do in these settings, in these situations. So for me, the point is, when you help somebody in those moments, you make a friend, you potentially get a volunteer, something which is very hard to find, right? I mean, trying to build a community, and everybody comes and checks it out and glazes you, and you can get laid all over the place, but nobody wants to put time in. That was the truth of mine. Nobody put much time in, except me. So the point is, in all this business, all the interplay of how it can fall out, I just learned to keep it square top to bottom. And it's not hard. It's been long done. It's just that it's only now possible because of the technology. And we can catalyze this for a group of 50 people. They can have their own micro factory and be fully self-sufficient on 20 acres easily, depending on how they want to live. If you want 2 acres apiece, point is the land is suddenly self-sufficient. Yes, you'll have to trade a few things, but you're going to have such a surplus of food and materials, right? If you're willing to compromise on your building materials, you're going to grow bamboo to build your buildings. Once this is doable, suddenly all tribal construction is available. So you might get ahead for a minute. We might get an inch ahead. Great. Okay. What happens then? People think it's a runaway. It's not a runaway victory. This won't be a runaway victory. That's not how it works, guys. That's not how a cycle works. It can't be a runaway. If runaways trended, it would have ran away a long time ago. Okay? Runaways are the impossibility. It's not going to be a runaway. They are making choices. They are pushing things this way or that way. But once everybody has their microfactory, there is no need for most global commerce. I think we'll still have specialized chip production facilities. But we're about to either go crazy into this drone war with things like wooden drones, flying everywhere, just giant swarms of deadly automated drones. Now they do to counter the electromagnetic, and this was something that I wrote about years ago. First they'll start, and the fly-by-wire was surprising that they were able to go, kilometers almost with the fiber optic wire. But now the German ones, if they lose their connectivity, if you jam them, they have a camera and a vision guidance, which is very hard to stay hidden from. It'll find a target, and if it's a truck or anything like that, it's a very standardized shape, very recognizable to these AIs now. Some people are gonna go down that warpath. Don't go there. If you launch those drones, one day they will visit you. If you leave a single survivor, and if you try to not leave if you get anywhere near functional genocide, which their voice cannot be heard. Like, we can't hear the Druid's voice now. That is a culture which is resigned largely to history. I don't know if there is a valid, maybe there is a secretive, or maybe not so secretive, I don't know about it, Druidic sort of thing. But as I understand it, they were powerfully antagonized by the church, seen as an opposing religion. Many other religions do the same thing. So there used to be movements used to take it'd be a prophet, and you'd have to get this mass of people behind them, and then it would leave a mark. The game changed in this way. Now every teenager is leaving marks, indelible marks that will never age. And making space for that is a luxury, being present in this medium where we can talk to performers and help them to realize that, the dynamics to the seniors, the dynamics that were in the live scenes, that was just industry's nastiness. Industry nastiness. There was nothing special about it. There was nothing magical about it. It did not make a better product. It chewed up the quality characters over and over and over again. And anybody who was a superstar, 27 Club is people who just wouldn't back down. You got to surrender one way or another. When you found yourself at that level, you had to surrender. They'll take your fucking plane out of the sky, kill everyone you know. The game was dirty, and once you put $1 billion on it, it doesn't take a big sliver of that for somebody to be willing to do something awful. That's the strategic awareness that we have to really drill into our minds. Combine that with the idea that anybody who's got half my talent is now able to get a barn and start manufacturing whatever they want. You could assemble a car in a barn now. Once these robots are free moving and get 10 of them, they can pick up the parts for a car. Maybe take 6 of them to move the engine around, but so what? That's not even, they don't have any mechanical advantage. Give them a fucking crane. Why would you not put a crane in this warehouse? Now they build your tractor. Goodbye, John Deere, right? Point is, brands have banked on, and this is what it is, all these boomers, all the trajectory of inertia, boomers have banked on this idea. Nobody thought Nike would be a shit company, right? Would be totally maligned, would be a more embarrassing brand to be associated with than otherwise. It's an embarrassing association. It's sweatshops. It's stuff that everybody knew about in the 80s. These are people who consumed and consumed and consumed. And now America's waking up to a terrible economic reality. But to pull out of it, eventually, when people who are struggling figure out some gap of light and we get the system to say they won't destroy us, because you need to get that, because they will just destroy you one way or another. They'll call you commies. They'll come after you. So you got to have that groundswell, okay, for this thing to actually happen. I don't know that's going to happen, and I don't think it's going to happen around me. I think I'm going to find a picture of it. I'm going to show it to the assholes around me. I'm going to say, look how tragic your life is. Look at the reality of what you have damned your own children to, that they will never in their whole lives escape. You are failures of the highest sort, historic failures. You are historic failures as a community. Your culture is deplorable. It's disgusting. There's literally, it is compounding disease upon disease. You can't even control your diet. You're hopelessly addicted to half a dozen substances by the time you're in your fucking 20s. Call it a prescription. I don't give a shit. Okay, we are in a moment of just rampant idiocy in the West, where the collapse is real, and we have let kids be surrounded by just utter bullshit, which is a failure of the adults. We just did not have a serious fucking adult. I'm 42. Everybody around me has always been an asshole. There's I could count on one hand the people that I would say were not grossly delinquent in understanding that we're heading towards the moment that we're in now. Because my ultimatum in my home community was 2009, because it was obvious then. It was very obvious then. But of course, I was traveling through factories, seeing a lot of stuff that nobody else could see. I had awareness of technology, which nobody else had. They thought that they had better taste. How does shit taste, assholes? Like fucking people, these fucking. Oh, you don't want to fuck around in front of a salty dog. So, yeah. Cool, no response yet. I can keep going. So once everybody has these factories, suddenly we don't need to do any, what was that? Once you have these factories, we don't need to worry about productivity. And I think that then you're going to see the future of humanity is going to be people who are free from the birth. And so imagine not being told that you had to get a job. Imagine being that level of opulence in your life to where materially you are basically set from day one. This is what it's like in Norway, right? This is why Norwegians can work together as well as they do. And this is just a reality of society. If we don't put these structures in place, we have neighbors who are disruptive, who take advantage. We have animals that rustle through our shit and steal it in the night. We can't put moral shackles on everybody. I'm making something. So the moral foundation is surprisingly critical. And our culture has not focused on that. If it was, when somebody said, I'm feeling jealous, people would say, well, that's a toxic trait. Not, oh, you'll never find somebody who's not jealous. Fuck you. Women have done incredible things for me. And relationships are negotiations. Okay. They all are. But there's nothing that people have ever said to me, like, there's no way somebody would do that. It's like, well, you're about like 4 or 5 people too late. I'm no Prince Charming. Anyways, this is just a technological revolution that everybody who designs a weapon, everybody who ships a weapon, everybody who launches a weapon is recorded very well, right? You're in the system. We got your metadata. Just by the absence of presence, the AI is going to combine the databases that already exist and know everything about you. Going to know what you've been doing. How clean are your hands? Mine stink like dog for now. But you know, I just can't believe that there isn't a reaction yet. I really want to go mobile with my life is my intention. I should be able to go to these places and install automation in a garage. We've got a crane in it with a few robots, fully automated, processes food, serves food. Got the other side totally separated, right? So they can't mix. Got a sanitary side and a non-sanitary side. A non-sanitary side has a forge. Is literally smelting minerals out of the rocks that you found on the property, right? And what I'm doing right now is doing like watching on YouTube. Guys are buying crucibles and they're uh, making their own ore, right? You can see that. You can watch it on YouTube, right? God, this is incredible. You know, I thought I was going to lose so much when I was in junior high. So this is like the early 90s. I thought I was going to lose so much. I felt so lucky. I took shop for 2 or 3 hours a day. And what I would do is I took study halls and then I was the teacher's aide in the shop. And that allowed me to go hang out in the shop. The shop teacher was cool. We had an acetylene torch. We had a forge. We had arc welder. We had a table saw, a planer. Planer's a real scary fucking machine. Lathe. I had a fucking lathe. I was like a teenager. People are using the lathe next to me and we're making screwdrivers that were in the forge, you know, warming up and hammering the front tip down, just doing that. Some experiences, cool, right? Now you got like YouTubers that have auto hammers, and you just watch. You can see the work being done. It's not magic. You know what I mean? Heat it up, stick it in there, hammer on it until it gets into shape. Fold it to get those katana layers if you think that's necessary. But most of your strength is going to come from how you heat treat it. And the alloy, etc. There's that science that's honed in on. You know, you're not going to fold for a katana now. If you were to shape metal for anything, point is you the hammer. It is literally a robot can create a metal front. So let's say that the robot only found 20% of the metal for your hammer. Well, if the robot can mount your metal to the front of a wooden shaft that's thick enough, you know what I mean, to be strong. So the metal's on the front of it like a hammer, so it's still got a metal striking head, and puts a rock on the back of it. Do you think that you need the entire head of that claw hammer to be metal? You get it in a tool because it is very reliable. But if you have a robot that can make it again in a few hours, if you have a robot that can make 10 of them, so you have a row of them, and once you're down to two, once you're down to, it starts making more, up to 10 again. It keeps the buffer full. And you have endless stone hammers that are made with a weird metal alloy that a robot was able to pull from the aluminum cans that you discarded. You know, this is today. This potential is today. And we are watching people maneuver this stuff around on YouTube. All that content is being fed into AI. So we believe we are shortly going to have an AI that can literally navigate a robot with a camera and have it do this. Maybe it's a year or two. Right now, what we need to be doing is understanding how we can localize it. But the big thing is, how do we get those people empowered? And very different than the socialism or capitalism discussion, you have to understand that our barrier of entry is no longer national. We don't need 3 million people to agree for anything to happen, right? 20 people is enough. A little budget is enough. When you're building it yourself, it's advantageous even to do it yourself. We are going to be in an era of, some people right now think that they're impressive because they know the market for fucking washing machines. It's a pathetic reality. We can build a washing machine at home. The microfactory will build your appliance soon. It will last for literally ever. And if it breaks, a robot will fix it. And if it's so broken that it's gone, a robot will replace it. That's the age of Aquarius, that there's no excuse for us not being in. It's just cultural failures from deplorable individuals. And until we call those dickheads out, I got to sit on the sidelines and watch you all fail. If I was to even try to coordinate, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm supposed to become a head of a fucking collective organization when we got like fascists running around, right? So right now, if years ago we had started this, we could have started a cultural movement, right? And we were actually in 40 people 10 years ago, if this would have happened. And that would have been if my community listened to me as they should have. And now they better come to terms with how much they fucked up. If they ever want a fucking chance to talk to me again. But the cultural thing would have changed many things along the road. Maybe we wouldn't have Trump as a president again. I don't know what we can do about the federal government. Thing is, we've just got to live well enough with our hands squeaky clean that we can make them want to join our party. Okay. And once you have a culture that frees everyone, once you see that everybody is their lives, you see the light start to pour out from them. Right, Mocha? You know about that. You know all about it. You've given so much light in your life. The light starts to pour out. Then you start to know people like Mocha. You start to recognize those vibes. Yes. Ooh, the good ones. What is this? What's this over here? Yeah, yes. Yeah, so under your skin, you might develop masses if you don't have much circulation. This really helps with overall circulation, and it's a good workout for my whole back. And she loves it. It's relationship building. And this is the future where it's holistic. You don't have to be mindful that taking incredible care of a dog might be very, very rewarding for your wellness. Might alter your diet, alter your sleep schedule, make you get up and walk around, spend time in nature. You got to slow down first. And if you don't have time, and if you're broke, it's not going to happen. So, to build this thing, let's come here. And let me know I've been waiting for a decade on the sidelines. But yeah, so when you only build it with like 40 or 50 people and you're online from day one, very hard for them to Waco you. But you need the right 40 or 50 people. You need some genuine support. That I'm starting to see the levee break on the conversation of collective efforts. I mean, my intention is to blend the locality with the online. I mean, if you want to have any chance at future tourism, I think this is critical. Because once the kids are all online, having some notoriety online to yourself and giving the kid a chance then to create their content that's related to the stuff that they like. Don't make a Disney World where you create a cartoon. Turn your intended tourist spot into a meme, into things that can be related to, in a meme every week. Hopefully, if you're lucky, and if you're that active, the point is, whoever you went into, there's a lot of quirkiness involved here as people explore, the horizons of socialization and everything. If it's quirky, great. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but if you try to like home and gardens this, you just fail. You're just sterile, right? The emphasis has got to be on encouraging expression of the young lives. For me, if you're going to get on stage, you're a professional. I know you're a human just as much as the person in the crowd. I for their well-being and my own, I hold performers to a much higher standard than I do most people in many things. A performer has got to manage their own business in a lot of ways. I can't, be the guy who's chasing off, and I don't want to be the guy who's chasing off other people. Like if she has any issue chasing people off, then a whole army should show up. So that's a big difference. It's like a lot of times the guy in a male sense is told to handle business. Once she's allowed to go do what she wants, you can't be that way. And if you have me go handle it by myself, then it looks like it is that. So by having many people, in a strategic sense, it's just having an overwhelming response. My responses are almost always overwhelming. You might notice people are always like, I don't know what happened, because they really don't know what happened. And that's very beneficial for my strategy. There's more going on than most people care to acknowledge. And because of that, they are not part of the game. You set your own level. And if it's jealousy, if it's vanity, that's just sad. Like, celebrate your beauty and then go find some more beauty and then share your beauty and resonate your beauty with other beauty. That's when beauty's the best. We are all more beautiful while we're resonating with other things. It helps us to stay in rhythm. It keeps us there. Not that anybody needs to be any of that. Because being alive is enough. Isn't that right, Mocha? And because I'm a mature performer, I got to say these mature things if I'm on camera. I got really nasty on Theo Vaughn's channel on YouTube. Real nasty. But Theo was saying, what have we become? And empathizing with camera stuff. And it's like, you don't know that your camp just normalized like literal fascists. What have we become? Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, you are part of the problem, because if you're going to have that audience, you got to grow up. Like, it's just time to grow up. And that's what I understood a long time ago. My experience of growing up. I was 21, and I had just opened up my first venue. I was outside, and some young men trying to hang out with us tried to impress me. We were pretty legendary. Like, everybody could put down huge amounts of alcohol. And the parties we would talk about the parties and such at the shows. You know what I mean? And the bands were often there, the promoters were often there. You had the most socially mobile individuals pooling in one place because it was right above my venue. It's the way that I kept volunteers. So I consistently had parties so that people had a reason to help out. The volunteers that I did have, I didn't get many. People came to the parties, but they were never very thankful for that. They'd give me lip service, but nothing more. Anyways, I was out front and running door, and the young men positioned themselves beside me. There was three of them. They were kind of. These guys I actually think are awesome dudes, but kind of dorky, kind of nerdy. And they talked about alcohol poisoning, like talked about doing something that was not mindful of dosing, which was a consistent message at my parties. It was a consistent message of mine. So, if you're just hearing the outside thing, you're not gonna hear this. But if I was feeding somebody alcohol at my party, if they were drinking my alcohol, I told them I expected them to know their dose and to keep it within, something reasonable. I'd even ask them, what's your dose, and monitor it myself. And that's a good bartender is doing this. A good bartender should know every person at the bar's dose. That's the job of the bartender. To give them too much is a crime. It's called over serving, and the bartender can lose their license in many places, or be charged with crimes for the consequences, sued civilly for things that happen. So these young men who were next to me talk about something which is so immediately personally unhealthy. That's one thing about me. I'm very mindful of health science and my perspective to health, my own activity in life, my own impact on my body. How much of people's tension is made by their own frustrations and stress, and them bearing all that on their body. We will naturally bear what we think and fixate on out through our body and life. Which is just the way that we live. It's the story of life. And for the first time now, everybody gets to tell their story. Mocha's not even asking to be internet famous, and now look at her. That experience gave me a reason to think about it 21 years ago, to realize that everything that was said about me, every projection of me, if people looked up to me, they would emulate it. That's why I'd rather not be looked up to at this point. I'm not saying that I'm even cutting the sort of line that I want the future to be. I'm a naturally adapted human organism that's had a complicated, dynamic story in life, and has different values and perspectives to the most basic perspective of all, which is consumerism. I mean, not getting out of that is, I think personally, just a failure of the highest sort. So whatever opinion people can have of me, you have to understand, I have an opinion of them informed by massive social exposure, experience, effort, support, sponsorship, Never on stage, always at the after party. Usually out on the patio talking. That was me downtown. So, anyways, when you start really worrying about how people look up to you are going to behave, suddenly you start to realize how important the messaging that's around you is. I think in every level, at every system, we should strive for a harmony. A harmony is, by definition, it's a coordination between all the different parts. And if we get to that, I think that a lot of our current concerns, a lot of the current conversation will disappear. That was the cutest fart. When you're really massaging people and they fart, it's always a wonderful feeling. It's always a wonderful feeling. Doo 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 doo. Boo 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 doo. Hopefully she didn't poop. Yeah. So, point is, once we stop fixating on trying to prove to other people our value by copying things boomers did, we start thinking for ourselves, and we say that we're gonna take the tools that are in our hands, we're gonna learn how to use them first, then we're gonna use them, and then we're gonna experiment, and we're gonna start hammering out, a village, peak size. You don't have to leave. You can leave if you want, but maybe, I think, a couple hundred people. That's all you need. But can you cooperate with 5? Maybe not. First thing we got to do is figure out how to talk to each other. And the guy who was adapting to being in the middle of everything in 2003 is me. I don't think you can make another, not to get high on my own supply. I can only get so many people who were able to run a city like I did, because I was in the middle of it for years. The middle of it is in the only bar district. They can get online now. It's all changed. Jealousy is still just what the weaklings do. Just now, weaklings are also on stage. Weaklings like the Pauls and Mr. Beast, who got rich, and now they're surrounded by yes people, and they keep acting like their lives mean something, while they lead children down disastrous paths. Like how they took advantage of Haley. That poor girl just had her whole fucking shit ruined for like nothing, for like 80 grand. Infamy for 80 grand. Like they fucked her bad. And she is, any penny that she could even make is so leaned on because she fucked with the crypto meme shit. Not clean hands, Haley. Not clean hands, Logan Paul. So, in this revaluation, which we could talk about from the philosophical perspective, Nietzsche's revaluation is, I think, an excellent approach there. Still keeping in perspective the classical virtues, how have they changed based on the technology changes, the changes in reach. Like battle changed with the longbow. It changed again with the gun, changed again with the plane, and it's changing again to the automation. And I know automation, so that's why I was trying to warn everybody so long ago. And I also know nature. I really know nature. Make that body so happy. One contented dog. She's still going to want to go for a walk. Anyways, until people want to cooperate on that level, and it's very obvious from a great distance what level they're living at. If you're living as a consumer, you just don't have any consciousness of how it is to work with anyone. And there's a lot of Americans that will never in their lives develop much of that if they have a chance. They have a choice. It's very difficult for them to learn. Well, that's why you got to have the party. It's got to be shiny. It's got to make them want to be there. It's got to be the real thing. It's got to actually take a life and turn it around. And hopefully at some point I'll have facilities where it's not happening where I am all the time too, because I would like my own clean space that I can relax in. And I would like to not have to service others all the time, but I can do it for a minute with this happy dog. He's worth it. Hour and a half. Okay. Well, I got to do my cosmic tarot, Mocha. This is going to be interesting. She's not going to let me do it, I'm certain. Oh. Tell you what, you get old and creaky, your bones start wanting to yell at you when you move. Oh, and I did something. I separated out a regular tarot deck. This is a one-to-one tarot deck. Normally, I had all these additional cards. It never made a difference. Right, Mocha? So we would be honest about that. About things making differences. Everybody should be paying attention to the differences, seeing how the game is changing. So the state of the sport doesn't suffer. So we don't let down the next generation. They don't come to the sports arenas and go, what the shit? Why would anybody pay this much to be here for this awful experience? You got adults desperately trying to enrich a situation that's a fucking cement hellscape. God, these sports are so dumb. Our culture just sucks. Like, I pity people when they're like proud that they condition their children to look to baseball as though that's a sport. It's a sport from 1920, guys. Nowadays, get that kid online, get him connected to the rapidly evolving social norm that is the global norm that everybody online is like sort of aware of, and the boomers will not be able to understand it until we take them to this party and introduce them to it. I think of the emergency that can happen if we don't get this job done. That's what people are failing. What's up, Mocha? You need more attention. See, this is the thing. You just watched me pet her for over an hour. She's not done. She's still right here telling me that she wants more attention. Breathing in my face. Look at me. Oh, thanks. You do something nice for me back. And when I have a solid basis, I don't need her to give me a massage like I gave her a massage, you know? It's cool. Keep moving. Which is fine and good and very important. She'll end up barking at me if she doesn't get what she wants. And this shit normalized in our fuck up society, like we are supposed to worry about how dogs operate or mimic it or normalize that because women are so fucking worthless. You're not a dog. You don't get to pass like a dog. You don't get to justify your stress as someone else's fault because you're not my pet. You're gonna be okay. Now she's on her bed. See that? See how this works? Like she knows what I'd like her to do, and she just does the opposite. But okay, Cosmic Tarot. So the reading, number one, is from the book. Celtic Cross is the reading, and done by the positioning, not necessarily the order, is how I read it. The positions are defined by Celtic Cross. Different people have different ways of how they draw it. I don't think that matters. I think the symbols are just profound, and somehow they always land in a meaningful way, which is shocking to me. But let's see if they land in any meaningful way that relates to the conversation that we've just had, that I have just recorded. 10 of Pentacles reversed. 4 of Wands. Highest we can arrive at is the reversed Ace of Swords. Dick in the dirt. What we have to work with is the 9 of Pentacles. Coming from the Page of Swords to reversed Page of Wands. Interesting. The Star reversed. Okay, you didn't. Okay, I see where I'm falling off. Let's put you here. The Star reversed. Seven of Pentacles. 5 of Pentacles reversed. The High Priestess reversed. Oh, man. I like the High Priestess upright. So, first is by the book. This is the person or thing's general environment at the time, the influence with which he is actuated all through. 10 of Pentacles reversed. Chance, fatality, loss, robbery, games of hazard, sometimes gift, dowry, pension. So we just start with those words and let's continue building. 4 of Wands in the second position. This represents his obstacles. If it is a favorable card, it will be something good in itself, but not productive of good in the particular connection. 4 of Wands is a favorable card. They are for once almost on the surface: country life, repose, concord, harmony. Opposition, the challenge is to harmony. Like I just said, right? That's literally what I just said. Prosperity, peace, and the perfected work of these. That's, yes, the goal for, really exemplifies the intended end of all of us in, I think, our daily life, maybe. Was that safe to say? And it's something that we should universal. As I said, harmony is universal. It depends on what's being played beside you. Your resonance has to fit with the other resonances, and vibrating bodies, in a medium. We've got to normalize everything, which there's physical systemic analogies for, which we should consider. Anyways, third card. This crowns him. It represents the best that it can arrive at, or B, his ideal in the matter, or C, what he wants to make his own, D, but it is not his own at the present. the same meanings, but the results are disastrous. Another account says conception, childbirth, augmentation, multiplicity. And I do think that childbirth is, I mean, for my life, I like Aldous Harding's song, The Barrel, where she says, once you have the baby, then the braiding begins, and in that braid you stay. Like the rest of your life is then trailing after your kids, which is a very natural thing that I wish I had had a harmonious environment to introduce them to, with a person who I could rely on to have my back. Fourth card, place it below the feet of the significator and say, this is beneath him. It is his own, that which he has to work with and can use. Nine of Pentacles, prudence, safety, success, accomplishment, certitude, discernment. Discernment, discerning, certainly, certitude, being certain, certainly discerning. You know, the judgment really is the tool that I have. And when people try to judge me, they just don't deserve to understand my judgment. Like if they want to pay me, maybe I'll lay everything out for them. But unless I like you, I'm not going to try to help you to tighten up your game. Does that make sense? Like if you are a nasty presence in many levels, I'm going to feed your pride and mislead you to where you make critical errors down the road and paint yourself among very inexperienced people. Like the one thing that anybody who ever hustled me walked away with was an absolute certainty that they felt like they had gotten one over. When it was just the cleanest disconnect, because if they felt like that I got one over on them, which I did, then they would want to carry it on. The reason I can let go of it is because by the real measure, I always got one over. Like I'm not the guy to mess with in this level. So it's a humble road in some ways. I make compromises in order to keep bills low, in order to be able to have the freedom to engage different communities meaningfully, right? Really being present there myself. That this Nine of Pentacles was me this morning in Alethea's stream. It's me last night in Alice's and Angelic's. Many more. Point is, I can do all that from a lake house, which is pretty cool. The internet made this possible, and I saw that coming, and I didn't play along to other people's games, which they thought they would, for some reason, that would develop into something profound, but never will. Hold on a second, I have a call, so I am muting you. So let's continue the reading. Coming from the Page of Swords. Authority, overseeing, coming from authority. Secret service, vigilance, spying, examination, the qualities thereto belonging, and heading towards the reversed Page of Wands. Anecdotes, announcements, evil news, also indecision and the instability which usually accompanies it. This is here to warn you of the fluidity of my entire position. Evil news, breaking away, and the way that this should be understood and why it's not taking advantage of people. In my personal life, if we're going to put it on full personal life, I announced that I was going into a limbo until I was able to build this village. That was my ultimatum that I said in 2009. That if nobody listened and I had to go on my own, I was fine with that. I was sure that I would end up being a very valuable resource. I just didn't think any of them would be. I thought they were more in the way than productive. And I was very familiar with them as people in the music scene and in the promotional scene downtown. What I saw in industry was just as shocking, just as morally bankrupt. I don't see things that reflect my moral fiber. I don't witness people who regularly throw themselves into a scrum to make sure a kid gets out safe. A kid they don't know. A kid who's going to make fun of them for something tomorrow. It's all real life. I've lived. Freaking save somebody, and she's too shy to talk to you. Okay. Just, I may not be there the next time you need to be saved. And a few years later, they're usually confused. Point is, evil news, the warning of the ultimatum was all about a time coming, ragnarok. Yeah, evil news. The streams, which I tried to kick off, which I guess I'll leave up, at least have my stream title on them to tie it back to this, is checking in the era of ragnarok. It's bad news out there, guys. People are struggling. And how are they going to get away from struggle? If you have huge wealth, you can buy your way out of most of it. It also makes you a target. If you just figure out how to do it yourself, you can sit at home. We can connect online. We're cool people. Fuck them. Right? They never had anything special. Now we are getting to new layers of sharing, of developing our interaction, of cross-generational dialogue. We're just leaving them in the dust. Okay? You don't have the time to save everyone, is what I thought in 2009. And nobody let me save anybody anyways, so fuck it. Anyways, Page of Wands, reversed, future. Yes, the Ragnarok, the moment of, a moment of crisis is approaching us. And promises, all the promises, gone. Are you ready? Are you ready for God to come back and re-impress divine order through the sacrificing blood to the tree of liberty? That's where we're at. Which is why, not being super encumbered with property is just obvious if you're going to be doing anything except for bitching in life, fucking voting like a traitor. Dickheads. The star reversed. Arrogance, impotence, haughtiness, and that's supposed to represent me. Wait, let's do this. The past and the future. I didn't read those out, I don't think. The fifth card, looking away from it, this is behind him. It is the current from which he is passing away, and it may be the past of the matter. Turn the sixth card, place on the side this finger is facing, and say, this is before him. It is the current that is coming into action and will operate in a specific matter. The first six cards, plus the significant card, are now disposed in the form of a cross. The seventh card signifies himself, his attitude and relation to the matter. Impotence, arrogance, haughtiness. Yes, I am arrogant as a reaction to being ignored for since 2009 on this topic. 16 years, a lifetime where people who say that they loved me never paid attention to a word I said, never respected my knowledge, never thought that I was potentially telling them that I was surrounded by a crisis. They wanted to comfortably buy beyond their means. They wanted to not worry about 15, 20-year mortgages. That's all they wanted, was to not worry. So now that we are here, where this past year, God bless everyone who bought a house in this past year. God bless you. I can't help you though. Impotence. I can't change it. Knowing that it's happening and not signing the contract is the way to play the game. Clean hands. And what else? What are you trying to hold on to? Seven of Pentacles. Which is his house, his environment, and the affair, the influence, people, and events around him. These are exceedingly contradictory in the main. It is a card of money, business, barter. But one reading gives altercation, quarrel, and another innocence, ingenuity, purgation. The three levels of that transaction, right? First, it's business. It starts with the fight, and then the forgiving and the resolution, which is the purgation, the purging. Yes, and in Ragnarok, what it is, as the system gets tighter and tighter and tighter, same way feedback is on the mic, where it goes high, that same sort of escalation is where we're at, and it's because in our environment, change is happening, being impacted, leading to generational change. So if we are going to make 10 changes in the next year, which one do you want to be on? You should know to say the 10th. Because if you bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you have a substandard for that year. You want to hold your breath as long as you can. And when the time to buy back in is right, you do it. But you got to understand, in this connected future, everyone trying to play as an individual, every individual family trying to survive, is just fodder. The system around us forces the change. You have to be educated enough to see it. I could see it in my community, and only I saw it in my community because I came from real authority. I really affected the whole game for years. Like before shit popped off, people looked to see if I was watching. Because me being mad was something they couldn't work around. Actual authority. I was their darling. And I'm not going to be your darling if we're standing on other people, is what I told them. Anyways, proud to be who I am, top to bottom. Second to last card, hopes and fears. 5 of Pentacles reversed. Disorder, chaos, ruin, discord, profligacy. I'd say it's a fear. Disorder, chaos, ruin, discord. Well, in a way, hope is and fears. I mean, that's what this bad news is. And yes, it's where I've been at. It's been my emotional state too. These are aligned. The future and the fears. And the future is right ahead of us. Right? This is the immediate future. This is about me and what is my fears? This disorder. Yes, if I want to raise a kid, I want it to be in order. I want the kid to be fed. I want it to be well cared for and optimized in its development so it turns out to be capable instead of a very unhappy bottom few percentile. You can't cheat the game of life. There's no fucking cheating anything anymore. So last card, the crowns everything. 10th card represents what will come. It is on this card that you concentrate your intuitive powers, your experience, and your memory. In respect to the official divinatory meanings attached thereto, it should include whatsoever you may have divined from the other cards on the table, including the significator itself, blah, blah, blah. It's a whole bunch of stuff that's covered by duct tape. Sorry. So all this here is more about it. Anyways, the introduction is the High Priestess is supposed to reflect back on all of it reversed. And I got to get this done because I'm going to go do some yard work. Passion, moral or physical ardor, conceit, surface knowledge. So most importantly, this is something I do certainly want to address. The High Priestess reversed. Surface knowledge. This is in this nature of the circular nature of things, surface knowledge, but also the most fundamental knowledge. Surface knowledge, as in the thing which from the very surface is so obvious, is the systemic changes. So like an alien or any data set you look at, the most obvious things are the surface level. And that's all that I talk about. In my art and everything, I can only share with you details about surface level concepts. The reason you have to pay attention is surface level. Just because my art is so consistent in its messaging, and I'm constantly reminded that we need to make these changes by almost everything I see in my life, doesn't mean that my life is my content. And separating life and content is part of this. My actual life is so warm, I develop relationships like what I have with Mocha, with any animal I want, with plants. I get high in the morning, I drink some coffee, take a walk. I don't get told what to do like a bitch. You know it's being a bitch. You just were taught to accept being a bitch for your entire life. And now you condition your kids to a whole another exponentially worse stage of being a bitch. That's surface level knowledge that I was saying 20 years ago. You have my art, which is a mindful representation in response to the changing times. But all along, I have developed the most profound, incredible relationships over and over and over again, never expecting to own them, never letting them get stale. Think of how stale your social life has become. Think of who it is you don't want to see. Think of who you have to compromise with. Because that's not necessarily part of your life anymore. Like I told the guy, you can go online and find a space where people don't make you compromise. And you probably should if you want to find yourself. I am a 42-year-old who was so ahead of the game. I threw the shows. I ran the downtown, king of the hipsters for some time. That's what some of my friends said. Not many, but I was a named character. I had everybody knew me by a name that was not my actual name. Respectfully. Said happily and cheers. For a little while. When what I had done for them lately was satisfactory for them. So, yes, the High Priestess to remind us all that we're sharing at a fundamentally superficial level. But that doesn't limit ragnarok. It doesn't limit God's reach into our lives. It doesn't limit how the energies are going to reverberate through our communities and potentially unseat us from things that we think are very core to our being, which is okay. Your being is water. You can, when you're made to change, you will. But you have this surface level guide, which is from an actual authority. I'll end up having to, at some point, if I do go anywhere, I'll have Mark Zuckerberg, we'll compile all the different media profiles that I've made, I release daily, multiple times, typically writing at least. Even now, I mean, if I'm writing into a Discord, that's a social media release. It's my character being present. It doesn't have the immediate audience that Twitter does, but the bots know it's there. And when they track everything down by my ID, they're going to know what I've done, and they're going to know all the impact that I've had. And that's where the efficiency in the game, right? Social kung fu of a sort, social first person streaming. so point is, life is a blessing. Like, we should all be feeling blessed now. Let's take a minute, and maybe I can do this very well enough. And my messaging is never to not usually am I at such a center point. Maybe this is the dog on me. It's me realizing that now that I got this like body that I had an hour and a half of interacting, and I'm gonna have to get up and take care of. It's helping me to relate in these ways. But remember that life is a blessing. Like, while we are pressured to get better at the game, it's going to feel great once you're doing it better. It's going to feel amazing. And you're going to wish somebody was ruder to you while you were short selling yourself, slaving away as an employee for a company that doesn't give a fuck about you, in a life plan that is consumptive, where you're surrounded by people who force you to live in debt, to be respected, to be even part of the conversation. They get in debt, and then they talk to each other. They throw a party around their debt. If you don't have that debt, you don't want to go to that party. It's not a party. The reality is, even for them, it's not a party. What makes the party is the freedom, is the natural exuberance that is part of all of us. If you are lacking that personal faith, you probably do not want to hang around the strongest players in the game. It's going to hurt you to coexist, okay? Compassionately. So anybody who ever said, well, yeah, he's a jerk, understand that's the plan. You're a weakling. I'm a jerk. Stay away. Bad news coming. I'm not going to compromise down to your sloppy, lazy, disgusting Western fucking norm. I'm going to do better for at least myself. And if all I get to change in this world is one dog's life, well, no, I mean, I've already been told by like a dozen people I've changed their lives, so it's too late. You don't get to try to act like I'm small anymore. That's the best part of actually succeeding multiple times in different communities at different levels. And it's not always something that they want right now. Oh, most of the time it's something that if you were to ask them about it, they're going to complain about it. Complain about something. Complain about me, my unwillingness to compromise something, some bullshit, right? I was the authority. I was certainly correct. We are certainly heading into this transition. And some people are going to fuck with the horsemen. They're not going to wash over the world. They're going to affect 4% of what's going on. It's not going to be only a few who make it through this. It's going to be most of us, unfortunately. But the thing to understand is, there's no greater failure than being a dead soul right now. If I can superficially call you a dead soul and you can't argue with me, that is why you're mad. It's why you're never going to be a challenge. It's why divine harmonies aren't going to play with you. Cool. Take care, everybody. One love.